Well, hello there, and welcome again to the Disability Law Show. Good to have you along, hopefully for the entire half hour. My name's John Scholes, right there, of course, Sivan Tumarkin, disability lawyer at disabilityrights.ca. Reach out to Sivan and his team anytime. Free consultations, no problem picking up a phone call, even if it's just a chat. 1-855-821-5900, help at disabilityrights.ca. Couldn't be simpler, right? We always have a main topic on the show, as you know if you've watched us previously, and this week it's going to be understanding insurance company surveillance. I love this topic because it makes everybody nervous, but we'll get rid of all that and we'll crack it wide open for you. We'll get to some phone calls, some emails, and a bunch of other correspondence you've had with us over the last couple of weeks. So we got a whole bunch of stuff to get through. Sivan, let's get rolling. We always start off with the week that was, or something you want to open the show with, pal. What do you got this week?
Absolutely, John. Great to be here with you and our viewers. Let me start off with an interesting case that came by this week. A gentleman that I had spoken with, it was about Tuesday, I think. He's 32 years old. He's an ultrasound technologist. So he works in the hospital. He does ultrasound. He uses his right hand. He's right-hand dominant. And about a year and a half ago, or just over that, he had a slip and fall. He fell on black ice, and he broke his right arm, okay, the arm that he uses, right? So he couldn't work. The problem is that he had treatments for it. He had physiotherapy, massage, acupuncture, everything you can imagine. Obviously, he had orthopedic treatments to it. It developed into a frozen shoulder, so he has limited range of movement now. He has other issues, neurological issues. Now, he's young. Because of this, he developed psychological issues as well, depression, he has some anxiety. So we're talking about somebody who has been really suffering for the last year and a half. He was on short-term disability at the beginning, then he applied for and got long-term disability, and he got paid long-term disability up until recently. Actually, he continues to get it, but recently he got a letter in the mail from his insurance company that said that, look, you're going to be approaching the 2-year mark soon, 2 years of being on long-term disability. We believe that you potentially can do other types of work, and so therefore we're going to end your benefits on a given date. And the given date is about 2 months from now.
Okay.
And so he called me. He's panicking, obviously. He doesn't know what he can do. He's been doing this type of work for quite a few years, ever since he finished high school and then went to the school, college to train for this. And he wanted to know what to do. And so, John, here I explained to him that we're dealing with two separate issues. First of all, there is a slip and fall, don't forget. There is a slip and fall that caused this. And the more I spoke to him, the more I concluded that the place where he fell, it was being maintained by, it was a plaza, it was outside a store, and they neglected to treat the area the way they should have. So he actually has a claim for compensation for pain and suffering and for other types of damages against the entity that owns and maintains that area. And of course, John, we don't just do long-term disability claims as lawyers in my firm. We also handle personal injury matters. And so we can help him with that. But then I focused my attention on what he came to me for, which was this cutoff that he's now facing with the long-term disability insurer. Now, let me tell you this. He has an orthopedic surgeon that he's been seeing since the accident. He has a general practitioner, family doctor, and he also has been seeing a psychotherapist for quite a while for the psychological issues that he's been experiencing. And he wanted to know what his options are. And I said, well, it's a good thing that you came to me now before your benefits were cut off. Right? The insurance company says they're going to cut off your benefits, but he came to see me before the actual cutoff date because now we can actually act on his behalf now, right now, and go to the insurance company and explain to them why it is that if they cut him off, they're going to be in breach of their policy obligations. What does that mean? It means that we can go after them legally and force them to pay him. And I tell people all the time, John, look, when insurance companies tell you that they're not going to pay you anything, when they tell you that they're denying your claim or cutting off your long-term disability benefits, you think that you have no options. You think that, in fact, you think the only options you have are to try and beg them not to cut you off or to appeal those decisions. And I tell people, look, before you do anything, before you panic, give us a call, talk to me, talk to members of my team. It doesn't cost anything to speak to any one of us. And I explained to him, look, based on the documentation, the reports I'm reading, from the family doctor, from the orthopedic surgeon, from the psychotherapist, the insurance company has no grounds to stop paying him. And what does that mean? It means we can force them to continue paying him. They cannot simply do whatever they want to do. But what do insurance companies hope for? They hope that people will walk away. They hope that you will simply just get afraid, think that you can't do anything, that you have no power, and the truth is you have a lot more power than you think, and that's what I explained to him. So I calmed him down. I was actually speaking with him and his wife. I explained to them what the options are. I'm going to be handling their matter. I'm going to be dealing with the insurance company. They don't have to deal with the insurance company. I'll deal with the insurance company on their behalf. And I will make sure that this insurance company backs off, or if they don't back off, they're going to pay dearly to settle this claim with him.
This 2-year cutoff that's on the horizon, it's almost automatic. It just happens basically with everybody. Are they basing that on the physical limitations of his frozen shoulder in the original accident, or are they not recognizing the mental part of it?
That's an excellent question. Excellent, because they were focusing, you're absolutely right, they were focusing on the physicality.
Right.
The vast majority of people who come to us, listen, we represent people who have been injured or who have illnesses, degenerative illnesses, neurological illnesses, all different kinds of things. But a very big part of our clientele, people who come to us for help, are people who are suffering from psychological issues and health-related problems, illnesses, whether that's depression or anxiety or PTSD, various phobias, various types of things that are preventing them from being able to work. And this insurance company here clearly ignored everything the psychotherapist was saying, because maybe physically he's able to do some other job, right, but psychologically he can't. And that was made very clear, especially by the family doctor and the psychotherapist. So again, the message here is, do not simply take what the insurance company says at face value. Do not assume that you have no options. Don't try and take them on by yourself, because they know what they're doing. This is their job. These adjusters, that's what they're trained to do. And especially when I say to people, John, we are lawyers, this is what we do. I've been doing this for many, many years, myself and my team, across the country, across Canada. It doesn't cost anything to get this advice. And if after speaking with us, you don't want to go with us or have us represent you, or if you're happy with doing whatever you were going to do, go ahead and do it. But at least you'll get informed, get empowered. At least you'll know what your options are. And you know, doing that, we can even the playing field between people, regular folks, and the insurance companies.
When you take it back to the personal injury piece, like when the initial accident, when he slipped on the ice in the plaza, is there things he did do that he was proper to do, or he should have done, like take pictures of when he fell? Did he have pictures of the ice, the untreated area? Do you need that? And should everybody, I mean, sometimes when you slip and fall, you're in pain, you're in shock, and oh, wait, I'm going to take out my phone and take a picture. It's not always the first reaction, but did he do that stuff, and should you?
You absolutely should, except you're right. I mean, when you have an injury and you're by yourself, you're not going to think about that necessarily, especially here. He broke his arm. He was in tremendous pain. Luckily, there was a witness nearby, right, and so he had the name of that witness who can corroborate. There are no photos, at least no contemporaneous photos, okay, right? So you definitely want to take photos and videos, or have somebody go there shortly after, as soon as possible, the area where you fell. Make sure you take photographs, because look, in his case, leaving the long-term disability insurance company aside, this is a 6-figure claim that I can pursue now on his behalf, make sure that he gets money that otherwise he didn't think he was owed. But remember, there is a 2-year limitation period for these kinds of claims. So if you slip and fall and you get injured, and you wait beyond the 2-year limitation period, meaning 2 years from the date of the incident, you may be out of time. This limitation period is in most jurisdictions across Canada, but what I tell people is, don't wait, just do not wait. Speak with us, talk to us, we'll tell you what your options are, what you can do. And it's not as simple as simply telling the owner of the area that you've been injured, because they're going to get their insurance company involved. And those guys are pros, just like the LTD insurer. Yep. So yeah, John, absolutely, you slip and fall, either you or somebody else, please take photos, videos, whatever you can of the area, because there's going to be a he said, she said. Did they have salt in the area? Did they put sand? Did they deal with it the way they should have to make sure it's safe for individuals walking by? So in this case, certainly we have the evidence and we can go after them. And he wasn't even aware of this, wasn't even thinking about that. So get this, John, had he not come to me and spoken with me, maybe he would have gone to somebody who just does long-term disability and would not have picked up about the slip and fall. He potentially would have lost on a claim that's worth, by my estimation, anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000. Or
to your point, maybe someone would have alerted to say, you should at least contact the plaza. But then, again, don't do that on your own, because the plaza is going to blame the contractor. Contractor, oh, Jim was supposed to do it, but Jim was sick that day, so we got Phil to do it. But Phil did. Oh, you don't want to handle that on your own.
You got it.
It's going to be endless.
You got it. You got it. There's a lot of due diligence that goes in. There's a lot of things under, the scenes, behind the scenes that happen when we take on these kinds of claims, which is how we tell people, look, you can try and do it on your own, but when you have a medical issue, do you do things on your own when it's serious, or do you go to the hospital and let the doctors and the nurses deal with this? Yeah. It's the same thing here. This is what we do. We focus on this area of law. We know what we're doing. Insurance companies know us. They know they have to pay when we represent people, and it's as simple as that.
Website, pocketdisabilitylawyer.ca. Tell me about it. You put it together.
Yeah, it's a website that we created a while back. It's been used a lot by people, again, across the country. Essentially, it's for people who, for whatever reason, don't want to call us immediately, don't want to, email us, but they have a question about their short-term or long-term disability claim. They want to get some answers about their specific situation. Maybe they've been cut off. Maybe they've been sent for a medical assessment. Maybe they have some other question about their claim or a friend's claim or a family member's claim. So you go to pocketdisabilitylawyer.ca, you input a few pieces of information. There's just a few drop-down menus. It's anonymous, it's free, and you get the answers. You get the answers to your questions. But it's a starting point. It's accurate, okay? If you just Google your questions, you may get onto websites that have outdated information, incorrect information, maybe websites from the States, which are not even applicable here in Canada. So yeah, this website we've created to help people as a starting point, and then of course, once you get your answers, you want to talk to us, again, it's free.
Let's grab an email again. A reminder, help@disabilityrights.ca is where you want to send that email to. Elise, this time around, Sivan says this: I'm nearing the 2-year mark on LTD. I have an upcoming surgery scheduled. My insurer hasn't said whether they'll continue my benefits, but has told me to apply for CPP Disability. Do I have to?
Excellent question from Elise.
Yep.
So the answer is you don't have to, but you should. Yep. And the reason why you should is, number one, there's no downside for applying for CPP Disability. There are upsides, though. If you apply and you end up getting it, it means the government has now recognized that you're disabled. So the insurance company will have more difficulty down the road saying that you're not disabled because the government has approved you for disability. Now, some people think, John, unfortunately, that if you get approved, then you get the CPP disability payments plus the LTD. That doesn't happen. LTD policies contain provisions that give the insurance companies an offset. That means that if you get a certain amount of money from the government for CPP disability, the insurance company, they get a credit for it, right? So you're not getting one on top of the other, you're getting essentially the same amount. So people say, well, why do I have to apply? Well, the reason is because under most policies, LTD policies, if you don't apply, the insurance company could guesstimate or estimate what it is they think you ought to be getting and then reduce unilaterally your benefits accordingly. As to whether or not they can do it, that's a different question. But why even fight them on that? It doesn't cost anything for you to try and apply for CPP disability. In fact, at my office, we have somebody who helps people do that. So I tell people, look, you should apply for CPP disability. There is really no main downside, or at least the upsides are bigger than the downsides. But, this lady here obviously is very concerned that she's going to get cut off, or are the benefits going to continue? And I tell people, look, it's a legitimate concern to think, is the insurance company going to continue paying me my disability benefits? If you're ever concerned about that, if you have any reason to be concerned, maybe the insurance adjuster said something, maybe they want you to produce something, some information or documentation, maybe they want you to be seen by their expert, of some expert, give us a call. Again, it doesn't cost anything to speak with me, any member of my team. We do not charge for these things. We'll talk to you, we'll review whatever you give us. There is a lawyer-client confidentiality, so we're not going to disclose anything we're not allowed to by law, not that we would anyways, but you'll be empowered, you'll know what your options are. And so with this lady here, John, I can tell you, if the insurance company cuts her off and she's not ready to go back to work, we're going to be able to help her.
Let's take a short break. On the other side, my favorite topic, love this one, understanding insurance company surveillance. We'll get into that as we continue more of the disability law show. Stay with us.
People think you have to sign back a severance offer by a deadline. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Deadlines are used as a pressure tactic. Make sure the offer is fair before you sign. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. Can insurance companies deny long-term disability claims for mental illness?
When you're suffering from a mental health disability, insurance companies just don't understand. But we do.
They can absolutely not force you back to work. If your doctors say you are not ready and you know you're not ready, they cannot make you go back to work.
If you have a mental health disability and your claim is denied, don't give up. Give us a call and let us fight for you.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think you aren't owed severance pay if you are fired for a reason. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Most for-cause terminations are false, and you are still owed full severance. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca.
Okay, welcome back. We continue Disability Law Show. Welcome if you're just joining us. John Scholes and disability lawyer Sivan Tumarkin there as well. Always reach out to Sivan and his team. Start with a phone call. How about that? 1-855-821-5900. Free consultations. Pick up a phone, have a call. Maybe a simple question. It doesn't matter. Use that phone number. Back it up with an email. help@disabilityrights.ca. Main topic time, Savannah. I love when we talk about this. Sometimes it's through an email. I don't think it's been a few shows since we dedicated a whole segment to it. Understanding insurance company surveillance. This makes people shake and shudder. And we're going to dispel the myths and misconceptions about it now. Number one, why do insurance companies conduct surveillance? Because it can be mucho expensive. But why?
Yeah, so let's start with that.
Yes.
It is very expensive for them to do surveillance. And this is important to understand because some people tell me, look, there's been this car outside my house for 2 months now. I'm sure there's somebody who is waiting for me and photographing me. And well, I can tell you, it's not your insurance company. They do not do this for 2 months straight. They hardly ever do it for a few days straight. Why? Because it's very expensive and insurance companies are cheap. They do not want to spend money on this. I'm telling you this as somebody who used to work for insurance companies as their lawyer, okay? It is very difficult to get them to spend money on this. But why do they do it? Well, they do it because they may have suspicion. They may have a suspicion that maybe the claim is not legitimate or the person is inflating some of their symptoms. Maybe they think they can catch someone doing something that they can point to later and say, aha, you see, this person is not disabled. We're going to use that to stop their benefits. So really, they are trying to match what they see by way of photographic and video evidence, or if they do surveillance, by the way, it's not just that, it's also online, social media, etc. They're trying to match that with what your doctors are saying about you or what you are reporting about yourself in terms of your limitations, restrictions, anything that you're telling them about your physical and mental health. If you're telling them, for example, that you can't come out of the house at any point, or you can never walk without a cane, or you can never drive, and if they do surveillance and suddenly they see that, well, you were in a soccer game last week, or you're at a party and you're dancing, or whatever it is, it doesn't match, well, that goes to your credibility. It gives them a reason in their minds to stop your benefits. So that's why they're doing it. They're trying to figure out if they can find anything that will allow them to point to say, your claim is not legitimate, we're going to cut you off.
Conversely, if you're being honest, you got nothing to worry about.
You got nothing to worry. And that's what I tell people. Don't be afraid about surveillance. Surveillance, I've had situations where surveillance actually proved my client's cases.
Right.
In fact, that happens a lot. And insurance companies sometimes, if there is no lawyer on the claim, they will try and gaslight, unfortunately, the claimants. They will say, aha, we saw you go to the gym, and that proves that you are not disabled. Well, I went to the gym and did very, very mild treadmill cardio because my doctor told me I have to do it. But the insurance company says, oh my God, we caught you on video, and so therefore we're going to cut off your benefits. Don't be afraid of surveillance. But it's very, very important that you're always truthful with the insurance company, with your doctors, really with everything to do with your claim, because they will snoop around. That's what they do.
All right, moving on to the next one. How do they gather that information? What do they look for? I mean, you kind of said what they look for, stuff that doesn't, it's not equilibrium with what you're claiming, but how do they gather it?
I separate it into two distinct categories. Number one is social media online.
Right.
Okay? And the other one is physical surveillance. By physical, I mean they actually do have somebody that is waiting and photographing you and potentially videotaping you. But that happens. What can you do about that, right? They don't do this a lot, but they will try and do that. Sometimes they'll get you doing something, sometimes they won't. They can't interact with you. The investigator is not allowed to speak with you, to touch you, to do anything to do with you. They cannot go into a personal space, a house, but they can follow you in a department store, they can go into the gym, they can do stuff like that, right, from afar. But the other, and I can tell you more effective surveillance that we see people get caught with, and I say caught in quotes because I think people just don't think about this, is social media. Insurance companies will ask investigators, in fact, they don't even have to ask, investigators do it on their own. They will start Googling you. They'll try and see if they can find any Instagram photos or Facebook videos or anything on social media that you've posted since you went on claim. And people don't have their privacy settings set up, or people will post things because, you just want to be social. But you have to understand, if you are dealing with an insurance company and you are broadcasting to the world the kind of stuff that you're doing, they're going to see it.
Yeah.
So, again, be truthful. I tell people, if you really feel the need to be on social media, well, okay, then have your privacy settings set to high. Make sure only people that you want to see your stuff can see your stuff. But understand that this is what they're doing. But they don't have, James Bond type abilities to, get into your house or access things that otherwise, the general public would not be able to access online. They can't do that, and that would be illegal.
Right.
So there are limitations to what they can do. Really, they can only do what is out there, what you and I can look at.
Yep.
That's what they can do.
Finally, what are your rights under surveillance? That's what I guess most people want to know, right?
Yeah, you certainly have certain rights, but you also have to understand that it is the natural course of these kinds of claims that the insurance company may in fact order surveillance. In terms of your rights, again, you have a right not to be harassed. And it has happened before. I've had cases where the investigators did not know where their boundaries were. We let the insurance company know, and there's case law. There are cases where judges have said that these investigators are extensions of the insurance company. So if the investigator actually crosses the line, that's on the insurance company.
Right.
Okay. So you do have certain rights, and I tell people, look, if you have any concerns, you reach out to us. You can speak with us. We can go over what it is your concerns are. Maybe we have to communicate something to the insurance company to get them to back off. But typically, they can and do surveillance. Not in every case, but they do it. And again, they do not have an investigator on you 24 hours a day. They just don't. It's too expensive.
Lots more to go. A couple of your questions on the way. On the other side of the break, we'll get into that and return with more of the Disability Law Show. Stay with us.
People think you should go to the government to get severance pay. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Government can only help you get minimum severance, but not everything you're entitled to. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. If your long-term disability claim is denied, should you appeal?
Appeals often fail because insurance companies control the process. So long as you appeal, you're playing by their rules.
You should never appeal the denial of your disability benefits. Appeals are just a mirage of false hope.
Don't. That's their process. Take it out of their hands and fight for your rights with our help.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think their employer can make changes to their job. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Your employer can't change your pay, hours, or duties. You may be entitled to full severance pay. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca.
And welcome back to the Disability Law Show. The number right off the top again to reach Sivan and his team, 1-855-821-5900. Consultations are free of charge. Give them a call, and help@disabilityrights.ca is the email. Another website I'll throw at you quickly to ask your questions anonymously. MyDisabilityQuestions.com. MyDisabilityQuestions.com. And from it on the show today comes Charlotte Sivan. She says, I've been on LTD from work over a year due to multiple health conditions, including a depressive disorder, arthritis. My insurer has asked me to undergo an independent medical examination, an IME, with a doctor they've chosen. I'm concerned the evaluation will be biased and could result in my benefits being stopped. My doctors all agree that I can't return to work and have thoroughly documented my limitations. Do I have a right to refuse this request?
What a great question, and it's something that we get quite often. Let me start with the question itself, which is, can I refuse this? Generally, no. I say generally because sometimes the types of assessments that are being ordered or the specifics of those assessments, you can kind of argue over. For example, if they want you to drive somewhere for 12 hours to get the assessment done, or, it's somebody that, a specialist in an area that has nothing to do with your disability, there's an argument. But typically, if they want you to be seen by one of their doctors or assessors, you have to do it. It's under the policy. But, John, it's called an independent medical examination. It's a ludicrous name. It's an invented name. Why? Because of the word independent. It's not independent. It's not independent. These assessments are decided on by the insurance company. The insurance company is the one who selects the assessor. The insurance company is the one who pays the assessor. There's a reason why they've chosen that assessor. Again, I'm talking as somebody who used to work for insurance companies, and I used to recommend certain assessors to the insurance company. Wow. So, it's a valid concern. If you are being sent to one of these assessments, chances are, not guaranteed, but chances are, the report that will be generated by the assessor will favor the insurance company, but there's ways to deal with it. You don't have to panic. Number one, you got to be truthful during the assessment, okay? Number two, ask the adjuster, your case manager, for a copy of the report. Once you get that, give it to your doctor or doctors. Let them look at it. Oftentimes, your doctors will be more than happy to do their own report explaining why it is that the assessor is incorrect. But listen, I've had situations where sometimes the assessors for the insurance company actually agreed with my doctors, with my client's doctors. So it's not always in favor of the insurance company. But here's the thing. Here's what it boils down to. This is something that creates stress for the individual. The reality is that if you are cut off as a result of one of these assessments, if the insurance company says they're going to stop your benefits because of one of these assessments, and your doctors confirm that you should continue to be off work, don't worry about it. Give us a call, let us handle it for you. We'll deal with the insurance company. We will force them to pay you. If your doctors say you should be off work, and it's contrary to what their assessors say, we can override their assessors. Their assessors are not treating you. Their assessors may not even have seen you, okay? A lot more to talk about this, John, but I want people to understand going to one of these assessments is not the end of the world. And even if these assessments come out and they say something that's not favorable to you, it's not the end of the analysis. It doesn't mean you have no claim. We can fight back.
Let's get to a final email from Greg this time. Says, guys, I'm currently off work for an injury that is not healing quickly and may become a permanent condition. With my short-term disability period ending soon, my doctors and physiotherapists have recommended applying for long-term disability. Will the transition be straightforward, or will there be challenges getting approval?
What a great question. Well, first of all, it should be straightforward. And in many instances, it is straightforward to transition between short-term and long-term disability, but not always. Sometimes you have different insurance companies involved, one for the short-term, one for the long-term disability, sometimes different adjusters within the same insurance company. It really depends on each case. But here's the thing. If you're unable to work, if your doctors confirm that you're unable to work because of whatever condition or injury you have, you should be able to transition to long-term disability. And if there's a hiccup along the way, you give us a call. You don't panic. You don't panic. You can talk to the insurance company, you can try and convince them, but look, at the end of the day, they got blinders on. Their goal is to make money. One of the ways that insurance companies make money, one of the main ways, is to deny claims. Deny claims. Mm-hmm. And many times, those denials are not legitimate. Those denials are actually illegal in many instances. We know how to challenge them. We know what the pressure points are. We know exactly how to go after them. So in a case like this, John, where somebody is in the transition period, again, if you have anxiety about this, give us a call. We'll talk to you. We'll walk you through it. We'll tell you what we think should be in your application for long-term disability. And if there's any issue whatsoever, we are here for you. We will take care of it. We will be there all the way till the end, and we'll take on the insurance company if need be.
Does it make it easier or harder if they're two different insurance companies? Because short-term sometimes through the employer, and then long-term's a different insurer. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I mean, there could be an argument either way. You can say that, well, if it's the same insurance company, then why is one branch saying the person's disabled and the other one saying it's not? You know, left hand, right hand, not speaking. Yeah. But honestly, John, it doesn't really matter. I don't care about that. I actually don't care what the insurance company really is arguing. What I care about is whether or not the person is legitimately disabled. If the doctors are saying this person cannot work, and the insurance company takes the position that, no, we think they can or they're not disabled, I'm sorry, but the insurance company is wrong here. I would go, and any judge that I know would go with what the doctors are saying.
Yeah. And it's good that they have both doctors and physiotherapists recommending this. That's pretty strong off the top,
more people
right?
that treat you are on your side and are willing to put down on paper that you cannot work at the present time and need time off, the stronger your claim is. Yeah.
Greg, Charlotte, appreciate it for those last two emails and mydisabilityquestions.com. We're going to wrap up for this show, but always reach out to Sivan and his team. Like I mentioned, consultations are free. Take advantage of that phone number, 1-855-821-5900. Again, 1-855-821-5900. Emails help@disabilityrights.ca. Back it up with a phone call. Always good to do. It might make it on the show as well. And then finally, mydisabilityquestions.com. Mydisabilityquestions.com is good as well. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll do it again next week. So until then, make the phone call, make the email, and we will see you next time.